What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda where, well, I was going to say I hope that you're in fine form, but you're probably like me, you're probably still processing yesterday's defeat to Manchester United, and it didn't feel any better really when I woke up this morning, but it is what it is. I say this morning, who am I kidding? This afternoon. So look, we've got a lot to go through today. We're going to be talking about some transfer links into Liverpool Football Club. We're going to be talking about Benfica and why we might be doing a bit of recruitment there, albeit not from the footballing, well, not on the pitch anyway, and a few other bits and pieces from yesterday. So I hope that you're all well. Appreciate you being with us. And yeah, anything you want to discuss, lash it in. We have probably 3 more of these, including tonight, before I depart for Boston. So yeah, any questions or anything you guys have, lash them into the chat. And as always, we do appreciate you giving up some of your evening. So let's see, how are we? The first comment I see is, are you still in the FA Cup? No, we're not. But then again, you probably knew that, right? Actually, speaking of banter, I got a phone call today. So I was sitting here watching the TV and my phone rang and it said withheld number. And you're always a bit nervous when you answer those, right? Because you don't know who it is. So I answered the phone. I said, hello. And the person at the other end said, is that Craig? And I said, who's this? And they proceeded to sing a Manchester United Going to Wembley song down the phone at me. Now, that's absolutely grand. I've no issues with that. It's a bit of banter. No problem. But the problem I have with the gentleman that rang was, he didn't give me a chance to reply. He didn't give me a chance to sing a song back to him, or he didn't give me a chance to banter him a little bit. He rang up, asked if it was me. I said yes. He proceeded to sing the song. Now, it was not an offensive song or anything like that. And he hung up the phone. And I felt disappointed. Now, look, it's never great when somebody that you don't know rings you, but I have to say this person wasn't in any way abusive. He was calling for a bit of banter, but he didn't give me a chance to return. So, if you are watching, mate, I was going to have a bit of banter with you on the phone, but he didn't give me the chance. That being said, though, obviously, we don't want my number being out there and people ringing me, but I thought it was certainly a fun moment in my day, and it beats the abusive calls and it beats the threatening calls. So, yeah, whoever this dude was, I mean, his singing, I'll give him a 6 out of 10. Not the best, coming from me, I know. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to reply. That was my only problem with the call. Have you seen the links to the Egyptian? No, I have not, mate. And I'm not going to lie either. I've had more than enough of the Egyptian FA to last me a lifetime as a Liverpool fan. So no more, thank you. If and when Mohamed Salah moves on from the club, that's more than enough. Loads of stuff to go through, by the way, about Ibrahim Kanade, about the injury situation with the likes of Lucho Diaz, Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo as well. So we'll get through all of that over the course of the next 90 minutes. How does he even have your number? My number was, I told you this before, my number was doxed about a year ago. Put up on social media, somebody playing like I had tickets for one of the games I was looking to sell, and I got about 160, 170 calls. I probably should change my number, but I'm too stubborn. And to be fair, it hasn't happened since. So yeah, I don't know. Whoever it was that rang me, it just didn't give me a chance to reply. That was the only disappointment in it. But but look, he's a United fan that's enjoying the fact that his team are going to Wembley. As much as I don't like United, at least the dude's happy, so we'll give him that one. Who are the summer targets? Well, we'll move on to talk about that in a little while, and some of the targets will be from an attacking perspective. 2 names mentioned mainly over the last 24 hours, and they are Jonathan Bakayoko and Daniel Malen. But again, we'll get into that over the course of the next 90 minutes. So how are you all feeling after yesterday? I have to say, I couldn't shake it. You know, I can cope with being knocked out of the FA Cup. You know, that happens. But it's who we lost to and the manner that we lost that makes it really difficult, right? You never want to lose to United. You don't want to lose a coin toss to United, let alone lose the game in the manner that we did. But I hope it's a wake-up call to Klopp and those players for the remainder of the campaign. But I do have to say I disagree with Jurgen Klopp over a lot of what he said after the match, particularly about talking about the players being exhausted, not knowing what changes to make because of that. I feel like he could have alleviated some of that exhaustion if he made better decisions for his team selection and substitutions in the Sparta Prague game where, let's be honest, we were already through. 5-1 away from home. I don't know why he put out such a strong team, but I do feel that played a part in coming back to bite us in the backside against United. As the game went on, Erik ten Hag made his changes and they seemed to strengthen United and give them some resolve, and certainly the tactical tweaks he made we couldn't answer to. And that was worrying. Our players had nothing left in the tank. As the game went on, it looked less and less likely that we were going to go and grab another one to go further ahead. I'm talking about extra time here in particular. And also our wastefulness. How many opportunities, how many overloads, how many 4-on-3s, 5-on-2s did we have in that game to kill it off? So I think we can look within for why we lost that one. And look, you give credit to your opponents, absolutely, but I think that game was there for us to be won, or for us to win, and we found a way not to win it. And that's worrying. And I don't like Jurgen Klopp getting all snarky with journalists and stuff afterwards. He needs to take some of the responsibility for this loss, in my opinion. We're happy to give him a lot of credit when we win, and rightly so. But for this one, substitutions, not great. In-game management, not great. But most importantly, excuse making, not great. Craig, do you think Chelsea have a chance against Manchester City? I don't know. If I was a betting man, and I am, I think you're going to see an all-Manchester final. Yes, I can't sit here and say they've got no chance against Man City, because Chelsea have, I think, was in a 4-4 and 1-1 in the games that they've played recently. And there's a lot on the line for Chelsea. Like Manchester United, this is probably their season. United have somewhat of a chance of maybe pinching that 4th or 5th Champions League spot. But Chelsea, no hope. It is the FA Cup and a route into Europe for them, or nothing. So they're certainly under pressure. Obviously, Pep Guardiola has the Premier League title he's still fighting for, the European Cup he's fighting for, and the FA Cup. And United, much like I said yesterday, it was a bigger game for them. And I didn't say that to be disparaging or to run them into the ground, but it was. That was their season on the line yesterday, and they played like it was. And that hunger was another, I guess, decisive factor in the game yesterday. We didn't lose the game yesterday, we threw it away, said LFC fan. Yep, we did. I mean, that's what makes it all the more difficult, right? Is that we did, you're right, we threw it away. Now, I want to read you out some of what Jurgen Klopp said yesterday afterwards, because I disagree with him on some of it, but I wanted to see how you guys feel about it. So let me just grab my notes on Jurgen Klopp's interview. Where's it gone? Is this one? No, that's on Joshua Kimmich. One sec. Right, this is what Klopp said. He said, "It got really hard for us. That was the first time that I really saw my team struggling. We played a lot of football recently. We didn't even know who to take off. The way we conceded the last 2 goals, you can see we were not on top of our game anymore. We gave 2 balls away. Absolutely no criticism about that. I saw a team who understood the importance of the game and gave absolutely everything. Today it was not enough, and that's what we have to accept. Now they fly all around the world pretty much. Let's hope that they come back healthy." So look, the reason that those players were exhausted is because some of them were unnecessarily playing too long on Thursday. And I also disagree with Jurgen when he said the 2 balls given away, no problem with that. He should have a problem with that. He should absolutely have a problem with Darwin Núñez playing that ball back across his own goal. I watched it back last night in Match of the Day too, and I still can't believe he did it. And on top of that, and again, not trying to be salty about it, but for Manchester United's second goal, I believe it was, the flag should have gone up for offside. Virgil van Dijk gets a touch in it to take it away from Rashford, but apart from that, that flag should have gone up. Now, it was a full 20 seconds later before United scored, and again, we had many chances to defend it. But these are just some of the little differences that can make all that difference, and we didn't deserve to win that game in extra time yesterday. United were the better team towards the last 10 minutes of normal time and extra time. Let's own up to that. We were exhausted and we flagged. But between 45 and 65 minutes, 70 minutes maybe, we should have put that game to bed. We should have put that game out of sight. One more goal United's will would have broken, but we were wasteful. And we've got to make sure that doesn't happen again between now and the end of the campaign, where we have a maximum of, I think, 14, 15 more games that Jurgen Klopp will be managing Liverpool for. And every single one of those is a cup final. 7 United fans have been arrested. I'll go through that, Petter. And it's not just United fans that were arrested. So, we've got to be fair about this as well. And I will move on to talk about that in a little while. Something that I forgot to mention in my video earlier on, and I alluded to mentioning it, was that Liverpool are looking to hire Pedro Marquez, who's a Benfica technical director. Fenway Sports Group are working on a move for Benfica technical director Pedro Marquez in the latest step to build its new structure after the arrival of Michael Edwards. So keep an eye on that situation. If you want to read more on that article, it is in The Athletic. So just again, Liverpool owner FSG are working to hire Pedro Marquez, the Benfica technical director. Now, he won't be our sporting director. That will go to Richard Hughes. And I have recorded a series of everything you need to know about videos. So today I sent Ben over everything you need to know about Xabi Alonso, where I talk about his tactical acumen, the systems he likes to play, his career as a player, his career as a coach, the coaches that influenced his career, and a few other bits and pieces. I've also recorded one on Richard Hughes, which will give you a breakdown of him from his playing career to where he at Michael Edwards to how he has become on the verge of becoming Liverpool's sporting director. So those videos, along with one on Ruben Amorim and Michael Edwards, will be coming out over the international break. Craig, did Klopp fat shame a reporter? So, I don't know is the answer. There is two thought processes on this. One of them, Klopp said, you're not fit to be asking those questions from the point of view of, I don't know if he meant you're not fit as a journalist, as in you're not good enough as a journalist. I don't know if that's what he meant, or if he meant it in regards to his physical fitness. I don't know. Now, the reporter in question seems to have taken this fairly well, and, certainly said he doesn't hold anything against it. But what we have to address and be honest about is that Klopp was just snarky. Klopp was just being tetchy because he knew he shit the bed. Let's be honest about that. He was doing an interview and he was clearly in a bad mood because he knows we threw the game away. And he took that bad mood out on the reporter. And it's not the first time he's done it. And it probably won't be the last time he's done it or he does it. We have to address that. And we have to be big enough to take that on the chin. I know exactly what it's like to be in a bad mood and take it out with other people, because sometimes I'm just not in great form and I am a bit narky, and Klopp was certainly that way with the reporter yesterday. The reporter asked a perfectly valid question and the answer that he got from Jurgen Klopp just wasn't good enough. Let's be honest about it. That's something that I'm sure Klopp regrets, but again, it's one of those, we're all held to this high of a standard, but that's not realistic. Not for Klopp, not for us, not for players, not for anybody. And it is difficult for managers in these environments when they've got a microphone stuck in front of their face just after a result like that. But I guess it's part and parcel of the job, and I wasn't impressed with it from Klopp. That's all I'm going to say. Man, you're of all the teams, we move on and get the Prem, said Tanya. Yeah, we'll move on. And look, we'll get another chance to lock horns with United on the 7th of April when we travel there at 3:30 for another Premier League encounter. And actually on that, a couple of Liverpool's fixtures have been confirmed from Sky today. A couple of little changes, and I'll take you through them now. So Liverpool versus Brighton, that hasn't been changed. The first game back after the international break will be a 2 p.m. kickoff, and then that'll be gone back to back with Manchester City, who play Arsenal at 4:30 same day. So we have a chance to go back on top of the Premier League table before City and Arsenal lock horns a few hours later. Next up, Sunday, April the 7th, Manchester United versus Liverpool at Old Trafford. It's going to be on Sky Sports, and it's going to be a 3:30 p.m. kickoff on the Sunday. And the last one for Liverpool, Sunday, April the 14th, Liverpool Crystal Palace will be a 2 p.m. kickoff, again on Sky. And Arsenal versus Aston Villa will play after us at 4:30. So there are some occasions there where we have a chance to steal a march on our opponents, get the points on the board early. And I said this to you guys, before Arsenal played the day before us, or before we played recently, and it did actually have an effect on my nerves going into our game with Man City. I knew that if we didn't win that game against Man City, then Arsenal were going to be top of the league by the end of the day. And look, I'm not out there in the pitch. I can't have any influence over the game, but I know it affected me as a fan. So I hope that when the shoe's on the other foot, if we can pick up the 3 points against Brighton before City and Arsenal lock horns, and fingers crossed, we'll be able to get in their heads. So let's wait and see. Craig, if we do succeed in getting Xabi Alonso, do you think we can steal some of Leverkusen's players? Honestly, I've got no idea. Some managers don't want to go back near their clubs. Some do. I don't know what to expect with Alonso, and I don't know what his conversations will have been or will be with Leverkusen. So honestly, I don't know. When is the Merseyside derby scheduled for? So this is kind of chopped and changed. Bear with me. I do have my notes on the Merseyside derby here for you. Sorry, that's on the Forest Point deduction. So, if Liverpool and Everton take place on the week commencing April 22nd, which is one of the 2 dates that's possible for the Liverpool or for the Everton-Liverpool Merseyside derby, if it takes place on April 27th, that will mean that Liverpool play 4 consecutive away games over the space of just 10 days. Atalanta away in the Europa League, Fulham away in the Premier League, Everton away in the Premier League, and West Ham away in the Premier League. So that would be a difficult run there. A new day for Liverpool's rearranged Merseyside derby clash against Everton is still being discussed. A penciled in date is week commencing April 22nd. So we have to wait for absolute confirmation on that. But there are only 2 scheduled possibilities from what I remember reading through today. But April 22nd is looking the most likely as of now. So we'll wait and see. Another one, Forest had a 4 points deduction today. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. This breaking earlier on, Nottingham Forest have been given a 4-point deduction for Premier League financial rule breaches. This means that they'll drop into the relegation zone and Luton Town will go above them. They do, of course, have 2 weeks to appeal that, and it looks like it was initially an 8-point deduction that was wanted by the Premier League. That was whittled down to 4, and one of the 2 points were deducted, or 2 points, were removed from that punishment because Nottingham Forest were very transparent and very, what's the word I'm looking for here? They were very accommodating to the Premier League. They gave them access to everything that they needed. So let's wait and see what happens there. They've 2 weeks to appeal it from what I understand, and it does have big ramifications obviously at the bottom end of the Premier League table. Cooperative, that was the word I was looking for, Marco. Yeah, I'm still exhausted mentally from yesterday, bro, but yes, that was the one. When will 115 FC be relegated? I don't know, mate, but like you and everybody else, I'm very bored waiting for it. It seems to take an eternity to get to that point, but it does look like it's penciled in for sometime this year. We just don't know the exact date. So, somebody mentioned earlier on about some fans being arrested. So, I wanted to be fair, and I've done my research on this, and I'm going to reference an article from The Athletic from Omar Garrick. The article said, Greater Manchester Police have arrested 8 men and charged 1 individual following Sunday's FA Cup quarter-final clash between Manchester United and Liverpool at Old Trafford. George Fenning, 39 years of age, was charged with possession of a Class B drug, a pyrotechnic, and throwing missiles. He has since been bailed. 2 Manchester United fans were arrested on suspicion of causing intentional harassment, alarm, or distress through chanting. Further arrests included 3 Liverpool supporters apprehended on suspicion of possessing Class A drugs, along with another on suspicion of possessing pyrotechnics. Moreover, 1 Liverpool fan was detained for a racially aggravated public order offence, while a United supporter was taken into custody for suspicion of pitch encroachment. Now, look, I'm not trying to say one set of fans bad, one set of fans good. What I'm trying to say overall is that 1, football fans need to be better, come together and remove this. I think that Class A drugs are a really prevalent problem, along with alcohol at football games. Now, obviously, I'm not on the terraces week in and week out, but I know a lot of people that are, and I know a lot of people that partake, let's say, in Class A drugs. And that only leads to a sense of inflated ego, importance, and, of course, aggression at times. And this is before we even get into speaking about the tragedy chanting. And again, I'm not trying to say one set of fans good, one set of fans bad. I'm saying everybody needs to come together and be better on this. It needs to be removed. It does. It doesn't matter. And we can't get into whataboutery, because that's the argument here. I'll say United fans saying this, United fans will come back and say, what about Liverpool fans saying that? And we can go round and round in circles. Ultimately, none of it is acceptable. And the authorities really need to look to stamp this out. And the sooner the better they do it, because nobody wants to hear those songs. Nobody needs to be reminded of them, and nobody going to football games should be listening to them, hearing them, and potentially influencing the next generations of young football fans. Random question, but have you been a goalkeeper or something because your forearms look quite strong? Yes, I was a keeper, mate, when I was playing. Played at quite a high level at youth, but stopped playing 17, 18 years of age. But indeed, I was a goalkeeper, just not good enough to make it at the top level. But yeah, good spot. And thank you, Marcus, as well, for your super chat. Appreciate it. Now, before we get stuck into all of tonight's real news, transfer gossip and all that stuff, I got to take the opportunity now that it's just you and I in the nightly stream to say thank you. Look at the top corner. We did it. 250,000 Anfield Agenda subscribers, and you guys made it happen. Thank you so much. Never thought we'd get to that stage. Never thought the channel would grow to this size. But we wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it greatly. Everyone that's contributed to the journey, I mean, amazing. Some of the moments we've shared along the 6-year journey have been absolutely life-changing for me. And again, I just want to say thank you to all of you for it. Also, tonight, if you want to help us out in any way, you can just scan that QR code on the screen. That will bring you to the SofaScore download page, where you can download the best sports app in the business as far as I'm concerned. Fastest goal alerts, most information out there from any sports app that I've utilised, and it is absolutely free as well. So you can find the link in the description, or you can scan that QR code on the screen. It helps us out, it helps you out, and of course it helps our friends at SofaScore out as well. Who do you think will be back after the international break? Right, I'll move on now to talk about the injuries, because there really is quite a bit to talk about today. I've been doing notes out all day, and the list is quite long. So let's start off with a report from Anything Liverpool, where they speak about Lucho Diaz. They say there's an alarm going off in the Colombia national team regarding Luis Diaz's injury. It's not certain if the injury is crucial, but Liverpool and Colombia are awaiting the results. So as of right now, I don't know what the situation is with Lucho, but we will find out over the coming days. But there is worry in the Colombia and Liverpool camp over his injury concern. Jurgen Klopp mentioned yesterday that Darwin, that Lucho and the Cody Gakpo were all somewhat of concern. Now, Cody Gakpo, well, we've seen him arriving today for his time with the Dutch national team, and he looked fine. And I didn't see anything about injuries. He didn't look like he had a limp. He didn't look like he was walking on a twisted ankle. So that looks like it could be okay. With regards to Darwin Núñez, well, Fabrizio Romano posted this earlier on. He said, Darwin Núñez will not be part of the Uruguay squad for the upcoming games due to physical issues. Understand he has no serious injury, but Darwin already suffered problems in the last week and will recover in Liverpool for the next 10 days. Good. Thank you. That works. No unnecessarily friendlies. No dragging him across to the other side of the world for games that don't matter. Because I'm hoping that Uruguay and Liverpool have gotten their heads together and said, look, we want them fit and at his peak for the remainder of the season, and you're going to want them fit for the summertime in an international tournament. So I hope they say, give the kid a bit of a rest now. Let him recuperate Kirby for the next 10 days, and hopefully when we come back from the international break, he'll be ready to go. So that's where we're at with regards to injuries at the moment. With regards to transfers, well, we'll move on to talk about that in a minute. Let me just get some of your comments. Who are our transfer targets again? We'll get on to that, Sarah. And look, I've got to say, somewhat we don't know. Somewhat we're going off media links, somewhat we're going off previous links, but I guess we'll have a better picture of that when we know who the new manager is going to be. But we will touch on it tonight because there are some links to some players. Craig, have you heard that Darwin is missing the next 2 Uruguay games? Well, yeah, just went through it there, and I've got to say, I think it's common sense. Yeah, makes sense to me. I mean, no need to be sending him over there. So let him rest up, and he'll be better for Uruguay than in the summer, and he'll be better for us as well. You said you wanted 250k before you went to Boston, and look at it, you did it. I know, absolutely buzzing over it. Yeah, incredible. It's weird though to think that in 4 days we'll be on stage in Boston. It's absolutely nuts. And look, don't forget as well, tickets are still available. If you do want to come and see us, Anfield Agenda live in Boston, you can get your tickets at Ticketmaster, or of course you can go to the link in the description and get them that way. Right. Let's hope we get revenge against United April 7th, said Kevin. I think we will, mate. I think we will. The two games this year that have wound me up the most, the two games we played against United, and for different reasons, we were just so poor against them at Anfield in the league, and again yesterday we lost a heartbreaking game. Now I've come to one conclusion: it's all Ben's fault, and I told him this. The next time we play United on April 7th, Ben has to have the day off. Ben can't work. He's a jinx. Before Ben came to join Team Anfield Agenda, Liverpool were whooping United. 7s, 5s, 4s, goals all over the shop. Ben comes through the Anfield Agenda doors, joins the team, and we can't beat United anymore. So the only logical conclusion we can take from this is that it's Ben's fault. Ben knows this. He's aware of it. Hey Craig, what time is the Boston show this Friday? Doors at 7 and show at 8 o'clock, mate. And of course we'll stay there afterwards. It's going to be quite an intimate show. I think about 50, 60 people, something like that. Going to be fun. Can't wait. And yeah, look, mate, we'll have photos, have a drink, chat, everything. But we're in no rush. We're there for the evening, and we'll have some fun, as I mentioned. But 7 o'clock doors are, to the best of my knowledge. Leverkusen never lost in Europe League games. Xabi Alonso's been amazing. Liverpool will get hard game. Won't be easy. Well, they have lost in Europe. They went out in the semi-final of the Europa League last year. But I get your point. This year, they're unbeaten in all competitions. I think the only team in Europe's top 5 leagues to have that honour. King Cop said, I wish I could go to Boston. Thank you, mate. Well, the good news, as I said yesterday, I'm going to do everything in my power to book 3 shows in for the week before the Premier League starts in August. The aim will be to do 1 show in Liverpool, 1 show in Cardiff, and 1 show in Birmingham. And I'm hoping to get those boxed off when I come back from Boston. I've emailed a few venues. I'm just trying to get information on bookings and stuff. And when I have all the information, we'll give it to you guys. And hopefully we can do 3 shows in the week building up to the Premier League. And I can get out and about to meet some more of you wonderful people and say thank you for your support of the channel. Do you know if Gravenberch travelled on international duty? I don't, actually. I've got to be honest and say I don't. I've seen pictures of Cody Gakpo, but I'm not sure about Gravenberch. I'm hoping common sense prevailed, and you know, the fact that he's only just on the bench yesterday and hasn't played minutes since his injury, but I'm sure somebody in the chat knows the answer. Any plans to do a show in Belfast? Do you know what? It was Belfast or Birmingham. It came down to one of those two, Binkler. And Connor leaned more towards the Birmingham show. I think he just thinks the catchment area is a bit bigger, so probably a better chance of shifting some more tickets. But for me, I'd love to do a show in Belfast someday. I love Belfast. Could you do a show in Birkenhead? Well, one of the venues we're looking at, Gecko, one is in Liverpool City Centre and one was in Warrington. We were looking at a space inside the Warrington Wolves Stadium, and they have some corporate spaces in there, so that was one of the venues I was looking at. We'll beat them in the league now. I reckon we'll destroy them in the league game. We owe them that one. Well, yeah, we've no choice. We have to go to Old Trafford and look for those 3 points. As simple as that. Is it fair to say we sell Gakpo this summer? I'm going to ask you guys that in the chat, because I'll give you my answer. I won't cop out with giving you an answer, but I do like to gauge your reaction on these things. So I'm going to ask you. One sec, just getting this poll ready. Right. So I'll give you my take in a second, but of course I want to know what you guys think. So I'm going to put the poll up into the chat. And while that's up there and you guys have a chance to vote, I'll give you my answer. I wouldn't be looking to sell him this summer, no. But could I understand it if a new manager coming in maybe thought he was surplus? Well, that's on a new manager. Same as any other player in the squad. The new manager will have to assess them. But I do also understand why people are getting a bit tetchy at the minute. But what I would say is these things are often group mentality. So it starts off online, people jump on, and then some people get agendas that they won't change no matter what the player does. I'm not at the point yet where I'm ready to sell Cody Gakpo. I'm a good long way away from that for a whole host of reasons. His age, he's still very young. He hasn't been played extensively in one position, a position that he feels comfortable in. So no, not for me. I wouldn't be looking to cash in on Gakpo. But many Liverpool fans seemingly have a different viewpoint, and that's what we do with these shows. We give everybody a chance to have their say. Winning at Old Trafford's not going to happen. Well, it is, to be fair. It is. We're going to go there and get the 3 points in the league. But we'll wait till the 7th of April. Right now, the bragging rights, the gloating rights are with Manchester United fans. And we got to take that on the chin. You know, it is what it is. We lost the game. We lost it fairly, and it sucks. But I'm trying to be sporting about that. Vixen said Tsimikas is a possible player to be sold. I'd sell him in a heartbeat. I'm just being blunt and honest. I would sell Costas tomorrow because I don't see him ever becoming the first choice left back. And even if you're looking at Robbo slowing down, well, I'd rather have Robbo as somebody who, even at 33, 34, 35 in the future, is there to compete with a younger player. So whether that's Chambers or whether that's somebody else the club bring in, I would sell Costas tomorrow. I don't say that because I have an agenda against him, or I don't think Costas is a nice guy or anything. I just don't see him ever being that guy. And yeah, I'd sell him. But, you know, again, maybe you guys think differently, and that's okay. We won't all look at these things the same way. I'm going to move on to speak about Joshua Kimmich in a second, because Florian Plettenberg has been speaking today, and I would always say take everything he says with a pinch of salt, but it's more than him speaking about the Joshua Kimmich situation. But this is what he had to say about it. He said, FC Bayern are indeed prepared to sell Kimmich this summer if a suitable offer comes in. Well, of course they are, because he won't sign the new deal, and they're not going to be stupid enough to let him leave for nothing. So again, he tries to big up Bayern there, but I'm saying that he's making that call, as in Kimmich. Also, he said, additionally, Joshua Kimmich is not ruling out a move, and he is open to discussions with potential buyers. Still no concrete talks about a new contract beyond 2025. Now, this is the interesting bit. Only 5 top clubs are in consideration for Joshua Kimmich: Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Real Madrid, and FC Barcelona. Some of the mentioned 5 clubs have already contacted Joshua Kimmich. A move to Manchester United, Chelsea, or PSG is not an option for him. So take from that what you want. My educated guess was always that he would be most likely to go to City. You know, you can see the need for City to bring in a player if they move on Calvin Phillips, let's say. Somebody who can come in and really go head-to-head or play alongside or battle with Rodri. So I don't think we're going to see Joshua Kimmich at Anfield, but you never know. Maybe if Alonso comes in, he'll make a push for him with Thiago leaving. But for me, nah. I don't think it's going to be Liverpool, but let's wait and see. One player that Liverpool have been linked with, and this has been high and wide, is Liverpool are amongst a host of clubs monitoring Johan Bakayoko ahead of a potential summer move, price tag €50 million to €60 million. I think I called him Jonathan Bakayoko in one of my videos earlier on, so apologies on that if I did. I think I did actually. But yeah, Liverpool are monitoring him. Price tag €50 to €60 million. Now, I do not watch the Eredivisie, so I don't know if this dude's any good or not. I'm going to rely on you guys to let me know. He's been linked with us for quite a while now, but €50 to €60 million, I mean, he'd want to be some player if we're coughing up that much. So I'm going to hand it over to you and ask what you think. But while you're typing out your answers, I'm going to give you again another link that's come up today. Liverpool are interested in Daniel Malen, who is expected to leave Borussia Dortmund in the summer. Now, it wasn't just Liverpool that were linked today with Daniel Malen, it was also Manchester United. the Daily Mail said Manchester United and Liverpool are set to do battle over Borussia Dortmund forward Daniel Malen, according to reports. I'm going to say no thank you. Look, Daniel Malen's decent, and under Jurgen Klopp, maybe I could have seen a way that he would look to implement Daniel Malen. But no, not for me. I think we need better. I know we were looking at him when he went from, I want to say he left Eindhoven or somewhere to go to Dortmund. But I know we looked at him then. He went to Dortmund, but I've not seen enough during his time at Dortmund to make me feel like we really missed out. He's had spells of decency, but I'd want better, to be honest with you. I would. I'd want a higher caliber signing than Daniel Malen. Thiago must be sold, and Tsimikas too. Well, Thiago won't be sold. His contract is up, so he'll leave on a free. Same with Joel Matip. His contract is out at the end of, I think it's the end of July. Craig, has anyone ever told you that you're amazing and I love your commitment to the channel? No, not really. People have told me I'm good, but not amazing. I'll take amazing every day of the week. Honestly, mate, look, I don't know why I'm lucky enough to have so many kind people say so many lovely things like your good self there, but it really helps and I really appreciate it. And as much as you say I'm wonderful, I say it back to you guys. Without you, without the community, without the interaction, the fun, the banter, nothing else works. So thank you, I appreciate it. But you know, big up yourselves as well, because without you the channel wouldn't be where it is. Stay away from Marlin, said Dean Jason. Louise Douglas said, Craig, any info on how to get Europa League final tickets? Well, the ballot has already been done on UEFA. That entry is already closed. The hospitality tickets are fully sold out from UEFA as well. So unless you were lucky enough to maybe get into the Liverpool ballot, you're going to probably have to pay extortionate amounts of money. I don't know what they're trading for at the minute, actually, because I haven't looked at them. I think after the draw was made and the pathway through to the final became a little bit clearer, I think Liverpool fans will probably have started to book their travel, their flights. Let's wait and see. But honestly, I don't know what they'd be trading for. I can imagine upwards of €1,500, but I don't know, because like this is probably, well, it will be if we get to the final, Jurgen Klopp's last game as Liverpool manager. And it's in Dublin, which is, you know, as close to a home game as Liverpool could ever wish for a final. So, yeah, it's not going to be easy to get tickets for it. Is that a white top or blue? White-y, grey kind of. It's not white, it's not grey, it's not blue, it's somewhere in the middle. Craig, my mum loves Amy. My mum Amy loves you so much. It scares me she might have a crush on you. Oh, well, your mum has great taste. And tell your mum we said hello in a completely respectful way, I should point out. And never, ever, ever go against mothers, mate. Mothers know best. And another thing I'll say to you right now is, I certainly can speak from my own life experience. You'll never get food as good as your mum's again. Everything in the rest of your life that you compare when you go out for dinner or when you get married someday, everything will be compared to your mum's cooking, or maybe your dad's cooking, but your home cooking anyway. So yeah, mummies are always right, and I'm glad your mum enjoys it. I'm glad you enjoyed it as well, so thank you. Who's better looking, me or Brad Pitt? I'd say he just smidges it. You know, Brad Pitt doesn't have my man boobs, granted, but you know, I'm sure he has something about him. Apart from the millions of dollars, the six-pack, the hair, the beard, the Angelina Jolie relationship he had, the Jennifer Aniston relation. I'm not at all jealous. No, not at all. I need you to keep my wife in your thoughts tomorrow, but not in that way. My wife has her interview tomorrow to join the fire brigade, and she's very nervous about it, as you can imagine. So keep her in your thoughts tomorrow, and if you're a religious person, say a prayer. If not, just wish her well, because I'm immensely proud of her for putting herself out there, and obviously I wish her all the best tomorrow as well. Right, more stuff. An investigation, this came from the Independent, by the way, an investigation found 9 Premier League players escaped sanction despite testing positive for banned substances last season. Now, I don't have any more information on it, but they escaped sanction. So obviously these players that were found to have had banned substances in their system had valid explanations for it. And, you know, banned substances could be anything from medication, let's say, that needs to be given a doctor's letter, or all the way through to, I guess, performance enhancing. We don't know the ins and outs of it, but the Independent did report that 9 Premier League players escaped sanction last year despite testing positive for banned substances. And thank you to everyone who's wishing Sabrina good luck tomorrow. Appreciate you. Thank you. Craig, my father-in-law is a United fan. The start of my week has been tough, to say the least. I can imagine. Yeah, I don't have any in my near vicinity, thankfully, United fans. Like, my wife's family, not really into football that much, so I'm lucky in that regard. And I've ignored all my other side of the family who are United fans. Haven't even messaged them. Sorry, just checking my notes here. When is the Everton game? It looks like April 22nd. That's one of 2 possible dates. It hasn't been fully confirmed as of yet, but April 22nd. What's this one? A Liverpool fan has been charged by Greater Manchester Police for throwing a flare during yesterday's game at Old Trafford. It said one landed in a wheelchair section of the home end, which of course is unacceptable in every way, shape and form. Few little updates here. Again, LFC Transfer Room posted these. He said, L'Equipe report Ibrahim Kanate has joined the French national team this afternoon and will undergo medical tests to assess his fitness. The injury of Luis Diaz is nothing serious, hence why he was able to join the national team without issue. So that's better news than the alarm bells that were going off earlier on. Bild confirmed that Liverpool are in the race for Daniel Malin and showing interest in taking the Borussia Dortmund forward. We discussed this earlier on. I think most of us feel that we should be looking to a higher calibre of player than Daniel Malin, but, you know, let's wait and see. Craig, if possible, can you try to get an interview with a Liverpool player? We did. We requested an interview with Virgil van Dijk. Want to say it was about 6 weeks ago, maybe a bit less than that. And to be fair, the club got back to us, and completely understandably, the club said that due to existing commitments and obviously how busy everybody is, they wouldn't be able to fulfill it at this moment in time, and they'd keep our request on file for the future. Absolutely sound. Very grateful for them to get back to us. There's one interview I want to try and get, and it's not with a player. But if I could interview 2 Liverpool players, I'd want to interview Conor Bradley and Caoimhín Kelleher, obviously from an Irish angle. But John Aldridge would be the one I'd love to get on for the channel for a chat. I'd love to have a chat with Aldo. Do you think we need to get Luis Diaz some competition in the summer? In my opinion, he has a string of games where he just misfires a lot. I think you could argue we already have that at the club. You know, Diaz left, Gakpo can play left, Darwin can play left. So I guess we have some cover there. I don't know what's going to happen in the summer with some of our players, because if a manager comes in who doesn't play with wingers in his system, will he look to move on some players, or will he maybe tweak how they play? Answer is, it's guesswork at this point. The big concerns for me are the 3 major contract renewals that have to be done soon. And that's Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk and Trent. Until those are sorted, I think I'm going to be on edge about a lot of stuff. This coming in from, I think, the Mirror, the Mail, from Sami Mokbel, said, injury scuppers Gareth Southgate's plans to hand Trent Alexander-Arnold crucial midfield audition against top 5 opposition ahead of Euro 2024. Despite the fullback crisis, England boss earmarked Trent for a central role against Brazil and Belgium. And obviously Trent can't play because he's out injured at the moment, and we hope to have him back a week after the international break. So what that means for Trent's England career going forward or the Euros, I haven't got a clue, but I'm sure you guys will have some thoughts on it. Just checking through my notes to make sure I haven't missed that. And yeah, cool. Good luck, Mrs. Agenda. Thank you, Simon. Much appreciated, mate. So look, just to fill you guys in as well on what's happening, Thursday is the day that we travel over to Boston. So there'll be 2 more late night agendas before we go away. Tomorrow night, obviously, and on Wednesday night and Thursday morning, then we're off to Boston. So I'm recording a series of videos, as I mentioned earlier on, the everything you need to know about. I've recorded one on Xabi Alonso, one on Richard Hughes, and I'm working on one for Michael Edwards, as well as Ruben Amorim as well. Hopefully I can get a video done about the Aviva Stadium and what you can expect if you're coming to Dublin, but I'm not 100% certain if I'll manage to get that done before we go away. How long is the international break? We are back 2 weeks, pretty much 2 weeks. Our next game is the 31st against Brighton. And what we're going to do for that game actually is something a little bit different here on the channel. So normally, obviously, we do the watch along and then we go straight into a match reaction. I record the player ratings videos. But because that day is such an important day in the title race, what we're going to do is a little bit different. So we're going to do the watch along of the Brighton game as normal. And then we're going to go and we're going to take a little 15-minute break, during which time I'll record the player ratings. Then we're going to do a watch along here on Anfield Agenda for the Manchester City Arsenal game. Because it's such a big game in our season, I want to make sure that we take it all in together. And then we'll do a reaction after that. So it'll be watch along for the Brighton game, player ratings video, straight into a watch along for Man City Arsenal. And then after those 2 games have taken place, we'll have our match reaction, because we'll know how we're fixed at that rate and we'll know what the result of that game is. And we'll have a better scope of what the run-in is going to look like. So it's going to be a big day when we come back. We're going to be doing, I think, about 7.5 hours of live content that day. Craig, look out for me and my wife on Friday. Brilliant. Look, we'll have a chance to speak to all of you. I mean, as I said, it's going to be a fairly intimate show. There's about 50, 60 people probably. Similar to the one we did in Dublin, and it was really good fun. So yeah, man, we'll be there with you. So we'll have fun throughout the evening. It's an audience participation show, just like these streams. We're going to have talking points, but we want you guys to have your say. So we encourage you to shout up and yeah, have some fun with us. And afterwards we'll have a couple of drinks, stay around, have a chat, and get to know you guys all a little bit better. That's the plan anyway. But yeah, can't wait for it, mate, and thank you for coming along. If Salah leaves, we should buy Sané from Munich. No, we shouldn't. He's too injury prone. He's at the latter stage of his career. And he just isn't what we need as a character, as a personality, or the style of play. I can see why you've made the connection, Viven, and you're not the first one, mate, but his injury record isn't great at all. And speaking, actually, of injury records, see, Pedro Neto's injured again. And this surely is going to put the kibosh on a big money move for him in the summer, because I can't see Liverpool, Arsenal, or anybody else going and paying the reported 80 million that Wolves would want for him if he's got a sketchy injury record. Yeah, not for me. I think you'd just be asking for trouble. And I know he's young, but he has had more than his fair share of injuries. And again, he's out now. So I'd stay away. Unfortunately, because I do like Pedro Neto as a player. And on, back to Leroy Sané for a second. When he was at, what were they called? Schalke. I wanted him at Liverpool badly. Like, really, really wanted him. And even when he was at Manchester City, Viven, he was a player that I was scared of when he came off the bench. But these days, no, not for me. He's just not consistent enough. And add to that the injury concerns over the years. I'd say his best years are probably behind him. Olise, that's another one, Troy, that I'd be a bit concerned about. United are pushing hard for Olise. Obviously, wasn't it Chelsea who tried to sign him last summer? As of right now, I've not seen anything new to link us to Olise. Love him as a player, absolutely top-notch player, but you'd have to have similar injury concerns about him as well at the minute. I think we should get Evan Ferguson from Brighton. Well, I don't think that'll happen. I don't think he'll leave Brighton yet. And when he does leave Brighton, I expect it will be for an ungodly amount of money. Like 100 million, probably. Weirdly, I've always kind of thought of Evan Ferguson more as a Spurs or United type centre forward. But I guess we'll find out in the future. Still really young as well, with lots of development ahead of him. So I think he should stay at Brighton for a bit longer. Mark Gay, that's a name, Coach Bill, that continues to be linked with regards to Liverpool and a centre-back. Look, I think he's a grand player. Not sure how much he'd cost from Crystal Palace. Homegrown as well, if I'm not mistaken, so ticks that box. And Liverpool do need to strengthen in the centre-back position, mate, so certainly on the list. But I just find it difficult to sit here and really discuss anything about transfers when we don't know who the manager is. Alright, so the Mail Sporter saying something about Premier League and PGMOL. 1 second. Premier League to seek PGMOL explanation over 5 minutes and 37 seconds West Ham VAR check. After demanding improvements over concerns delays are damaging their product. Once again, though, we can see with that situation, right? I don't know if you're aware of this or if you look back at it last night, but this is where the handball law becomes a bit of a farce. So just yesterday when we played United, I remember a handball being given in the middle of the park somewhere, and the ball was kicked. I can't remember which team got the free kick in all honesty, but the ball was kicked from one player onto another player's arm in the middle of the pitch, and a free kick was given. But we all know in the penalty area that the same law doesn't apply the same way. When it's in the penalty area, all of a sudden they have to look at the distance the ball has travelled, and could he have gotten his arm out of the way, and was his arm in an unnatural position, all this other rigmarole. We are seeing now, with the implementation of VAR and the scrutiny of every decision, a quest for perfection that just won't exist. And we're also seeing the hypocrisy of the way the laws are applied, played out in front of us all. There's always been these unspoken rules in football, right? About a foul in the penalty area maybe having to be a bit more than in other parts of the pitch. Or a yellow card at the start of the game maybe not being the right thing if it's a first challenge and the ref doesn't want to put somebody on ice for the rest of the game. These are the type of things that never really got spoken about too much until they brought VAR into our lives. And now everybody is scrutinising everything. And this is what you get for trying to make football perfect. It's never going to be. Referees will make mistakes. Even in these situations with VAR, we're seeing hypocrisies all over the place. So stop interfering in the game. Stop trying this search for perfection. It just doesn't exist. And also, stop ruining it. Because yesterday, 5 minutes and 32 seconds for those West Ham fans, and then they were given disappointment. It's destroying the soul of football. It's trying to sterilise it. Fans don't know if they can celebrate. Even a goal that you think you can celebrate. Like yesterday, the goals we scored against United. I didn't think any of those were going to have proper VAR checks, but lo and behold, all of a sudden we had to wait there and be nervous about the possibility of something. But when Marcus Rashford was offside, the flag didn't go up. When Virgil van Dijk just got a touch to stop it going to Rashford, when he was 2 or 3 yards offside, no flag. 20 seconds later, ball in the back of the net. The whole lot of it stinks. And look, we lost the game yesterday not because of that decision, because of our own inadequacies. But I'm just pointing out, this season alone has done more to damage the reputation of officials and undermine the PGMOL than any other season I can remember in my life supporting football. Have you read about the game in Turkey? Yes, I have. Disgusting. Disgusting. If you haven't heard about this, I think it was Besiktas, but I'm open to being corrected on that. There was a game in Turkey where fans ran onto the pitch and attacked some of the players. One of them using a corner flag. I think Michy Batshuayi was part of that game as well, and I think he aimed a kick at somebody's head. But in recent times, we've seen Turkish club owner come on and assault a referee. We've seen fans running onto the pitch and attacking players. Sort it out. Sort it out. And proper punishments. None of this nonsense. Like that tragedy, Fenerbahce it was, thank you. That tragedy chanting yesterday. What do we see? Statement. Statement put out again. From the FA, the Premier League. No more of your statements. Action. Because remember when the whole Chelsea you know what boys thing was brought to fruition. Very quickly that was stamped out, and correctly, rightly so. I'm not saying that was the wrong decision, but if they really want to, they can make these things happen. But as is always seems the case, mocking Scousers and Hillsborough seems to never really go punished properly. Why? So hopefully, no more stupid statements, bans, arrests, season tickets taken away. Examples made out of these guys. Drag them out in the middle of the game from the stands. It's the only way they're going to learn. And also, we have to think about the impact this has on the next generation of fans on the terraces, in the stands, hearing these songs, innocently, probably not even understanding some of the time what the true meaning behind these songs are, and just singing them out of habit. That needs to be knocked on the head as well. What do I think of Musiala? Love him, Paul, love him. Musiala and Wirtz would be the top of my list of players I'd love to bring into Liverpool. Jamal Musiala, I said it in the summertime, 3 players that I would have loved. Declan Rice obviously went to Arsenal, Jude Bellingham obviously went to Madrid, and Jamal Musiala. They're 3 players I think would transform any team's midfield. Musiala is incredible. What do you think we will win with the comps we're still in? I think we win them both. I know, mate, that sounds arrogant. But honestly, somebody's dropping points in the game between City and Arsenal. And if it's Arsenal that drop points, we're top of the league and everyone has to rely on us. If it's City that drop points, then it's us and Arsenal, and the goal difference is all that separates us at the minute. And looking at their remaining fixtures, I think they have some difficult days ahead of them. So I'm hoping that by the end of that day, on the 31st of March, we're top of the Premier League table. And if we are, I don't know, do we get pegged back? I'm not saying we won't drop any points because, that would be arrogant. But honestly, I think we win both. And I'm not saying losing yesterday was a blessing, because losing to United's never a blessing. But if it wasn't United that beat us, let's say we lost to West Ham yesterday. I mean, the initial disappointment goes and you shrug your shoulders and move on. I don't really care about the domestic cups all that much, particularly the FA Cup, but I do care about losing to United, and I do care about losing in the manner we lost. That hurt. But I'm not arsed about the FA Cup. Maybe it's different because I'm not English and I wasn't born and raised over there, but it's never been a competition I'm that fussed about. Every team will drop points on the way. Probably. Look, I don't expect everyone's going to get maximum points between now and the end of the campaign. I think maybe this is a bit optimistic, but I think even if we were to draw 2 games and win the rest, I think we win the league. But it's in our own hands. That's basically the point I'm trying to make here. It's in our own hands, and for that, I'm happy. Craig, it was my friend that called. I appreciate you admitting that, Troy. I mean, I don't mind it in an isolated incident like that. And as I said earlier on, person said nothing disgusting or anything, said nothing wrong down the phone. So I hopefully, it doesn't happen very often. I don't want it to, but okay. All's fair and all that, mate. The person said nothing wrong, so it is what it is. There you go. I don't know what else to say to it, mate. I'm just reacting to what you've said. Can you summarise what you said? I will do, but we still have other stuff to go back through for the moment. Let's have a look at the poll, by the way, because I asked you 29 minutes ago, should Liverpool sell Cody Gakpo in the summer? Now, I gotta say again, I'm not looking to sell Cody Gakpo, but it's a topic of conversation that's come up a lot over the last few weeks. So far, with over 900 votes, no is winning with 59%, and 41% say yes. We'll leave that running for a bit longer to give more people a chance to vote. How do you reckon our quarters will go against Atalanta? I think we beat them. They're a team under Gasperini that usually plays fairly attacking football, and that usually plays into our strengths. We also have played them in recent times in the Champions League, Look, I'm not going to say they're easy because they're not. When they're at it, especially at home, I think I'm open to being corrected on this one, but I think they were playing some of their games in the San Siro previously. I don't know if the stadium wasn't up to Champions League level. Maybe their home ground is up to UEFA level for the Europa, but I don't see it being an issue over 2 legs. I think we can dispose of them quite easily, to be fair. And then it'll be a Marseille Marseille or Benfica semi, and same applies. Especially with the second leg of the semi at Anfield, I think we cruise through to the final. Bill, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Bill Erdentog said, "Don't worry, Craig. Honestly, the mid-table scum will be back under their cave rocks in a few weeks. We all know it." No, look, let them have their moment. You know, they beat us fair and square. No issues about that. But as I said yesterday, Bill, I'm sure you probably agree with me, that was their season on the line. That was it for them. For us, it's never great to lose to the enemy. It's never great to get knocked out of a tournament, but we do have bigger fish to fry, and I think we're going to fry those fish well. Susie, how are you, my friend? Susie in the music fan said, "Liverpool has had flack even before the 1980s. If you look at the papers from the Victorian era describing it as a place of unruly immigrants, Klopp looks tired. I can understand him wanting to go." So, obviously, Susie, I wasn't born and raised in Liverpool, but I do know of Liverpool's fight to be treated well. I do know of their treatment by the establishment, from Maggie Thatcher and the Docks all the way through to, of course, the Hillsborough tragedy, and how that was covered up, and how Liverpool fans were accused of stealing from the dead and urinating on police officers and urinating on people when they were 10. All those lies that were printed, and that people had to fight for decades to have overturned. So yeah, I understand it, and we're not very establishment, or we're not very pro-establishment in Ireland. You know, we push back against the establishment quite a bit, and I think that's one of the things that resonates with me about Scousers as well. Like us, they'll fight their corner, they'll stand their ground, they're protective of their city, of their people, and they're proud of who they are. And that's one of the reasons I love Scousers, and one of the reasons why I have an affinity with Liverpool is I can see a lot of obvious Irish traits in Scousers. How much do you think Gakpo is worth? It's a good question. Probably around what we paid for him, in all honesty. 35 to 40 million is probably... I wouldn't say his value has gone up during his time with Liverpool. That's probably the fairest reflection I can have. I just had a 15-second unskippable ad. Boom. But you watched it, SG, like a champ. Appreciate that. It does help. It really does. As does downloading SofaScore app. Every time one of you downloads the SofaScore app with our link or that QR code on the screen, we do get a small financial payment from SofaScore. But most importantly, you get a really cool, amazing app as well. So it's win-win. We get a small payment from SofaScore. You guys get a really cool free app, and you can learn from it together, use it as part of the videos moving forward. And we've gotten to know the guys at SofaScore quite a bit over the last few months, because we've been talking with them about other stuff behind the scenes, data, statistics, stuff like that, for ideas that we have down the line for the channel that we want to implement to give you guys more information during games. So yeah, do check them out if you get a chance. We're proud to be partnering with them, and many other YouTubers working with them as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think Brian, True Geordie, I think, is working with them, and a few others. So yeah, if you want to help us out without having to put your hand in your pocket, download that SofaScore app with our link or the QR code. My parents are from Carlow. I'm a recent immigrant. Oh, nice. I used to live right beside Carlow. I say that right beside. So where I lived was Ballylinen, which was actually in County Laois, but was closest to a thigh in County Kildare, but yeah, I used to go to Carlow every week to do my shopping with the family. So there you go. And to KFC, of course, across there as well, where Halfords was. So there you go. Appreciate that. And when did you move over, Susie? You said you're a recent immigrant. What point did you guys move over from Carlow? Much love from Balbriggan, said Bill Erdingtogs. How are you? Up the AA, up the Reds. Appreciate that, Bill. Balbriggan, nice. Welcome in. Every time I hear Balbriggan, and you probably get this, Bill, as an Irishman, I get the old Dustin the Turkey, the Briggan, the Brack, the Ferma, and the Noggin. Just every time. Only when I hear Balbriggan. Because I grew up beside Sally Noggin, but it's only when I hear Balbriggan. I think the Briggan, the Brack, the Ferma, and the Noggin from Dustin the Turkey. I don't know why Balbriggan does that, mate, but there you go. I see we've got a United fan in the chat. Welcome in, mate. Look, you're welcome into our chat. We welcome everybody in here. And again, fair play. Congrats on your win yesterday. I don't, well, I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt, because it does. But, you know, you won fair and square, so no issues in that regard. West Ham or Millwall? I don't have a preference to either. I don't really have any affinity or much knowledge about the history or traditions of either, so yeah, neither for me. I want 7th of April. Oh, so do we all. That's big. That's focus. Liverpool have to leave Old Trafford with those 3 points. Yeah, we can't go this season and not beat United once. That'd be tough, you know. And I blame Ben, like I said earlier on. You know, since Ben's come into Team Anfield Agenda, we haven't beaten United, and that's not great. So Ben's getting the day off next time we play United. Do you think Luton stay up with Forest point deduction? Well, let's wait and see if Forest appeal it first and see how that appeal goes if they do. So, both sets of those fans sung tragedy chants towards Liverpool fans. So, if I'm being really honest with you, they can both go to hell, as far as I'm concerned, and Forest can feck off as well. But what tips it may be in my favour back to Luton is I like the manager. Tom Lockley as well, what he went through as Luton captain, and how openly and honestly he's talked about it. I'd rather Luton stay up. I gotta be honest, if I had to pick one of those two, I'd rather Luton stay up. I don't know, there's a lot I don't like about Forest. My wife isn't here, so I can feel brave to talk about this because my wife's a Forest fan, but I don't like the club these days. I don't like their owner. I don't like them hiring Mark Clattenburg as a refereeing consultant. There's a lot I don't like about them, so fuck them. Let them get relegated. I can't believe the amount of people saying we should sell Cody, Craig. Darwin struggled with form and we all backed him. It's the same situation with Cody. It'll always be this way, mate. There's always people that are scapegoated. And you can think right back through. There's always been some. What we have to admit is that in recent weeks, Cody hasn't been at it. And when he came on against United, he was terrible. You know, Ian Wright was talking about it as well. He wasn't great. He wasn't. But he's still really, really young. And I think footballers have been written off too early these days by a lot of people. If they're not in and they're instant hits. Gakpo's done okay since he's come to Liverpool Football Club. I don't have strong feelings either way, for or against. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. But he's the scapegoat at the minute for a lot of people, unfortunately. Which sounds weird. Like, we're talking about scapegoats when we're in a situation where we've won one trophy. We're goal difference away from being top of the league in the league. We're in the quarterfinals of the Europa. And yes, we've been knocked out of the FA Cup. And we're looking for a scapegoat. It's weird, right? We should be over the moon. Because I promise you, when we started this campaign back in August, if you said to me, Craig, come the middle of March, Liverpool are going to be pretty much top of the Premier League table in the quarterfinals of the Europa League and have one of the domestic cups done and dusted, I'd have bitten your hand off. So, yeah, sometimes we need to just remind ourselves of that. This is not normal, what's happening under Jurgen Klopp in Liverpool, and we should appreciate it. Jamie Carragher hit on Cody as well, saying he plays in slow motion. the irony of Carragher talking about somebody playing in slow motion isn't lost on me. But look, Jamie's a pundit. He's paid to be a pundit. He's paid to have his opinion. And, you know, as somebody who's played for the club as well, I guess it's an opinion that holds some weight. But I'd like to change the question a little bit, if that's all right, and change the topic of the conversation somewhat. I don't understand why we bought Cody Gakpo. I'm not saying he's not good enough or he won't be good enough. But if you think back to when we signed him, it kind of came out of the blue and it wasn't really a position that we were hearing much about. It was one of those signings that just happened quickly and then, you know, he became a Liverpool player. I didn't understand it. I didn't think we needed a Cody Gakpo type player at the time. And I'd never say we signed him to stop somebody else signing him, but it did feel like United were hovering around and then all of a sudden he became a Liverpool player. Kind of like the Fabinho situation. Only for we could look at Fabinho and go, oh yeah, we absolutely needed him in that position. It surprised me when I heard we were signing Cody Gakpo. And I've never really understood what that plan was from that moment. Like, was he supposed to be a Bobby Firmino type link-up player? Well, he isn't. He can link up play, but he can't do some of the other things Firmino does. Is he a winger? I don't know. We've not really seen him as a winger, and he doesn't really have the pace to be a direct winger. So it was a surprise to me that we signed him. That's more what I would say rather than what happens with him now. Now I wouldn't be selling him. I'd be looking to, you know, bide our time with him. But yeah, it was a weird one. Abdullah, thank you for the super chat, mate. I can't see the comment. You've retracted it, but thank you. I guess we did it to stop United. I thought, did we though? Like, hope we're not that petty of a club. And there's been some transfers over the years where, you know, not involving Liverpool that we've looked at and thought, well, they only signed this player to stop that team from getting them. But I just didn't understand at the time why we signed him. It just felt like, especially because, you know, we're kind of frugal and tight with money somewhat when we're making signings. And when we signed Cody Gakpo, it was like, well, we could have used that money in a position where we really needed to strengthen. Same with Fabio Carvalho, by the way. When we signed him, I thought, brilliant, here we go. Fabio Carvalho, talented player, can play between the lines, but where does he play? And very quickly it became apparent that he wasn't really going to get a look in with many first team chances, and then he was shipped out on loan. Some of these transfers are just who signed them and why. I'd have questions about that. Gakpo does indeed have pace. He just hasn't played on the wing. Come on now, we've seen him in behind. It's not like we haven't seen Cody Gakpo running. I wouldn't, like, if you think of wingers, you usually think of real pace merchants like Mohamed Salah or Raheem Sterling back in the day. And I've never really associated that with Gakpo. He's a very languid, fluid, technically gifted player. You can see that Dutch influence in him straight away. But I don't know. I just don't know where he plays in this team. And I guess we'll figure it out when the next manager comes along. But I wouldn't sell him anyway. That's my take on that. Why did Klopp waffle about the lads playing well and they didn't? Yeah, that was, again, a lot of crap there. Klopp does occasionally speak a lot of shite. I'm sorry, but he does. You know, I think sometimes we all live in our own delusional little world, and Klopp's no different. So to say that the lads played great after that game, and to say things like, we gave the ball away twice and that's okay. No, it isn't. It's not okay that your centre-forward's playing stupid balls back across the front of his own goal. That's not okay. It isn't okay that the player's flagged. But the reasons that they flag, he needs to look inwardly for. Because he overplayed them. Particularly against Sparta Prague. And he said he didn't know what substitutions to make. Well, what? I'm sorry, but one thing we knew against Sparta Prague was 99.99% that game was going to be done in 90 minutes. No extra time. But we had to factor in the possibility of extra time against United. And two ways to look at this as well. his in-game management was nonsense. Taking off Mohamed Salah with 15 to go, plus extra time, plus potentially penalties, because you overplayed him on Thursday, that's his fault and his fault alone. So he needs to look inwardly on that and stop being tetchy with other people. Klopp made mistakes. That's okay. We're all human. We all make mistakes. But he doesn't seem to be able to process his own mistakes very well. You know, he's not perfect. Nor am I, nor are you, and nor is anybody else. But he does like to lash out occasionally, petulantly. And I don't like that side of him. Salah's fasting for Ramadan. No food or water until those energy levels. Need to cut him some slack. Again, my friend, I have no ire aimed at Mohamed Salah in any way, shape or form. Mohamed Salah is a supreme athlete, and it's not down to Mo. I have no issues with Mo about his performances. The only issue I have is that Jurgen overplayed him. So for me, going into that game on Thursday, I would have given Mo the first 45 and then I'd have taken him off. Then he could have started his recovery ahead of the game on Sunday. And of course, as you've mentioned, he is observing Ramadan, and I respect that and I understand that. But I don't think Klopp helped him by playing him for the full 90 minutes. When this was a far more important game, because we'd already done the job in the first leg. We'd already won. 5-1 up against Sparta Prague at home. We're not going to turn that around and lose it. So that's my frustration. Salah had no fault in any of this. Time to fire Ben, I think, Craig. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Ben knows that he's not working the next day. He thinks I'm joking, but I'm not. I am that petty that if I think there's a jinx on something, I have to try something to change it. And Ben, we haven't won since Ben's been at Anfield Agenda. And before that, it was all 7s and 5s. So, yeah, it's the only logical explanation is we have to blame Ben. Much love, Ben, if you're watching, by the way. I'm only joking. No, we do love Ben, of course. That's the problem. He doesn't play. Even when he scores, he gets dropped. Who are we talking about here, Kevin? Gakpo. Oh, look, you could make a valid argument. Yeah, for Gakpo not getting a proper run of games. But I think if we're being honest with ourselves, or at least if I'm being honest, my front three preference would be Salah, Diaz, Darwin. That would be my front three preference. I'd have... this sounds really bad, but I'd have Gakpo as our fifth forward. Jota would be ahead of him for me as well. And that's okay, because we need 5 forwards in a campaign. So I'm not judging Cody Gakpo as harshly as others at all. I think Cody Gakpo, there are mitigating factors for why his form's been up and down. So yeah, for me it's no big thing, but I put the poll up because it's a topic of discussion that I just wanted to gauge a bigger picture in. And I'm going to end the poll now. We've had 1,170 votes. And 44% of people said yes, they would sell Cody in the summer. And 56% of people said no, they would not. Klopp is protecting his players. Every manager does it, so he should. To be honest, Mo was not playing well. Well, he scored. Nearly scored another. What Mo wasn't doing, and again, this is probably down to being fatigued, he wasn't tracking back. So Joe Gomez was being exposed quite a bit. Now, Jurgen did point out during the game against Sparta Prague that it was the first time he'd ever told Mo or anybody else to forget about their defensive duties, because obviously Mo had to play the whole game at that point and was exhausted. So from that regard, you have to ask, well, were we just forcing the issue with Mo? If he wasn't fully ready, should he have started the game against United? Should he have maybe come off the bench? These are questions, I guess, that are fair ones to ask. Because we were exposed down that right-hand side. And Mo normally is excellent at tracking back and helping out defensively. But we were wide open. And even look at the amount of attacks down that side. It was clear that that's an area that United were targeting. And Klopp didn't resolve it. So... if Jota can stay fit for the season, I'll be more confident about upcoming fixtures. It's not just Jota, to be fair. There's a lot of players in our squad that I feel pick up one or two niggly injuries every season. Kanade looks like he's going to be a centre back that's going to have issues every now and again. Jota is another one that has issues every now and again. I'm just trying to think back to the rest of the team of the other players who have little muscle strains every now and again. Salah's pretty bulletproof, to be honest. Darwin, he's another one that I have concerns about. It seems like he has, muscle strains. Obviously because he's an explosive type of player. But this isn't helped when you see the amount of games these guys have been asked to play internationally and at club level. It's crazy. And they're only getting more and more hectic and less recovery time. And even in the summer, look at the Premier League or football versus, let's say, NFL. Those players get a good 5-6 months to rehab and let their injuries and niggles settle. Footballers' best case scenario was 8 weeks in the summer. So they never really get a chance to heal properly. Gakpo would suit Alonso as a 10 with slower build-up, said Harry Klein. Yes, he may do. So might Fabio Carvalho, actually. That could be a pathway back for him, potentially. So I'm still learning about Alonso's system, and I did, research a lot for the video that I made today about his styles of formation, what the tweaks in his system do, how he has some similarities to Jurgen in regards to the way he presses to win the ball back high up the pitch. But after that, a lot of similarities then with the way Pep Guardiola gets his teams to play, more dominant in possession, very precise movements, very, what's the word here I'm looking for? Regimented in their movements and who has to be in what position at what time. And these are things that I actually enjoyed researching when I was making the video about Alonso that's going to come out at some point this week. Do you think Kwanzaa is a nailed-on starter the way he's playing? No, not a starter. If Kanate is fit, Kanate and Verge are the first two. But after that, Kwanzaa's had a brilliant campaign this year, and he's getting a lot of games for a young centre-back at a very high level, so that will only stand him in good stead as his career progresses. Every time I hear him being interviewed, it's really promising, and he's saying all the right things, and very much have a lot of expectations and hopes for him. Jarell Kwanzaa looks like he'll be around for many years to come. I really had hope with Fabio Carvalho. I believe his attitude and discipline issues made him fall out with Klopp. I don't know what it was, Bill, but very quickly it became clear that we weren't going to see too much of him. When he went to RB Leipzig on loan, I'm paraphrasing this somewhat, but somebody from the coaching side, Leipzig said that he didn't want to fight for his place. That there was competition within the squad and he didn't... I'm trying to word this carefully. He didn't take on that challenge very well. When am I going to Boston? Thursday. Our flight's really early Thursday morning. So we'll have a late night agenda tomorrow, a late night agenda on Wednesday, and then no live content until we're back on the 28th. But we will have videos going out. At least one video every day. I'm recording them now. I'm getting everything you need to know about series done. So I've recorded one on Richard Hughes. I've recorded one on Xabi Alonso. I'm almost finished my research to record one on Michael Edwards. And then I'm going to try to record one on Ruben Amorim as well. So we can have a better idea of what we might expect if Amorim, Hughes, Edwards is coming to the club and Alonso comes in. Who's your biggest surprise of the season? Mine's Bradley or Kwanzaa. It's a good question. My biggest surprise of the season. Probably Bobby Clark, because I knew how good Bradley was going to be. I always had an idea that Bradley, once he got a chance, would do well. So I always had a lot of belief in him. Kwanzaa, it came very quickly and you could see very clearly why, and he was there. But for me, the Bobby Clark one was maybe it's the one I've enjoyed as well. He looks really good. And you can see why we worked so hard to bring him in from Newcastle. I I didn't really think Endo would get to the level we've seen. I'd hoped, we were all hopeful that we'd have a positive outcome there, but he's more than justified his price tag and the age of the player we brought. Endo's been great. And I've really been impressed with the second half of the season, Alexis McAllister, when he started to get more opportunities in the position where we thought he would play for Liverpool, which is a bit more advanced in that midfield. So yeah, I would say if I had to pick one, probably Bobby Clark. Do you think that Musiala will go to Liverpool? No, I don't. I think he stays at Bayern Munich, or I don't know where else maybe. I don't know. I'd love him at Liverpool, don't get me wrong. But your question was, do I think he goes to Liverpool? And no, I don't. I realised that Endo was owning up the cheap tag. Oh, Endo's been amazing. I mean, I think we've all warmed to him very quickly. He's just a very likeable guy. Ironically, I do feel like the game against United was one of his poorer games. But that aside, Endo's been amazing. Will Canade and Trent be back for United away? I think that's exactly the game for Trent. Canade will be back hopefully for the Brighton game on the 31st. He's been looked over by the French national team now, but I think he should be okay for that game. Trent, the thought process was a week after the international break, so yeah, maybe that is United away on April the 7th. By Cecic. So Klopp said by Cecic is looking really good. He's got no pain. But they're taking it slowly and managing him because they want to get it right. When he's back, I don't know. He is working on the pitch, doing some stuff now. When he gets back into first team training, hopefully soon after the international break. But unfortunately, this has been a year that hasn't gone the greatest for young Bajcetic after an incredible breakthrough campaign. And that's all right. He has to grow into the intensity of adult football, regular football to top level. And his body needs to adjust to that as well. So in the long term, he'll be absolutely fine. But unfortunately, this season, we haven't got to see as much of him as we would have liked. What do I think of the Ireland squad? I haven't looked at it yet. Honestly, since I've opened my eyes today, I've been responding to emails, researching stuff for videos, and that's about it. I haven't even had a chance to do anything else outside of Anfield Agenda stuff since I opened my eyes. Can you name 3 games you've enjoyed this season so far? Yes, of course. Right, let's think back through. Newcastle, when Darren came off the bench and we won 2-1. I very much enjoyed the late goal against Nottingham Forest as well because of what it meant. What are the games that I enjoy this season? For me, you see, I usually enjoy games where I feel like we've gotten some type of revenge or something. I mean, Fulham's a name that keeps coming up in the chat. I can see there from the comments, yes. What are the games that I really enjoy this year? The League Cup final, I definitely enjoyed the way we won that. Giving Chelsea a whooping at Anfield as well. That was enjoyable, the 4-1. I thought that was one of our better performances of the season. Just blew them away. I think those ones probably. I mean, I wish I could sit here and say United, but 2 games against them this season haven't been great. FA Cup game away against Arsenal, said Jurgen Splurgen. Yeah, that was nice, but I would have preferred the victory in the league. If we had beaten them at the Emirates, that would have been better. Harry Klein said his top 3: Fulham, Chelsea, Villa. I like the Forest win because it was late and salty, and I love a salty win. The League Cup final, as you've mentioned, yeah, that was incredible as well, the way we won it. And Newcastle will probably be my third, because I thought we were done and dusted there. A man sent off, 1-0 down, and then Darwin comes off the bench and makes everything better. Right, my friends, I'm going to call it a night, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Should be live at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Should be live at 8:30 tomorrow. So, a couple of things before we finish up. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. Don't forget to download SofaScore from either the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. And tickets are still available if you're in the part of the world near Boston. We hope to see you on Friday. 2 more late night agendas before we head off, and until then, don't forget, wish Sabrina good luck tomorrow. Keep her in your thoughts. She has her interview for the Fire Brigade, and keep everything, fingers, toes and everything crossed for her. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow.